Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a look at a fun Halloween Cup team that gave me a 5-0 in my very first set, featuring a very spicy moveset choice. Now the team on paper looks very standard, almost even a little bit boring. Golurk, Toxapex, and Tentacruel. But when you learn that Toxapex is running Bite, things get a lot more interesting. Now this team was created by a member of my Discord. They climbed several hundred elo to hit legend with it, with the goal being, use the Bite Toxapex to lure out ghost types like Golurk, and then surprise them with massive fast move pressure. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at the team in the Halloween Cup. Hopping into the first match, leading Golurk into Qwilfish, I'm going to throw 4, wait a turn, and get a catch onto the Toxapex. Hoping to catch an Ice Beam, I catch an Aqua Tail bait. Opponent is going to switch into the Golurk, and look at the bite damage go. This is great. I needed to bait this out. And honestly, I'm not even too worried about winning switch here, because I have a move banked. They only have a Shadow Punch, so I'm actually this time not even going to play for switch. Instead, I'm just going to bait out the Golurk, basically neutralize it with bites as I farm almost the entire way down, and now I have Golurk, and their Qwilfish wasted some energy since I was able to catch it earlier on. I'm going to shield up an Aqua Tail bait. In the back is going to be Galarian Moltres, and I should just be in a winning position now. I'm always going to let this go. Even if they Brave Bird, then they debuff their defense, and that's going to set up a very nice farm down. Since they didn't debuff their defense, I may as well debuff their defense, and this is why Acid Spray on Tentacruel is a must. Acid Spray on Tentacruel just makes it incredibly powerful as a closer. They go for the Ancient Power. Unfortunately, I do survive that, so I don't get quite as much farm on the Golurk, but it's not gonna matter. Golurk gets that full farm down anyway, leaving with the back-to-back Brutal Swings. Brutal Swing number 1 gets the shield. Brutal Swing number 2 is gonna secure the knockout, and Tentacruel put in a ton of work in that endgame, and the Bite Toxapex absolutely worked like a charm. This time we see the Golurk on the lead, leading into the Golurk. This is honestly pretty nice. Opponent is going to switch out into a Fortress, and Volt Switch Fortress, I have 2 water types in the back. So it's not good for me to see it with my backline, so I'm just going to stay in with the Golurk and play it out. I can launch Brutal Swing after Brutal Swing at this Fortress. Fortress is going to let that through. Shadow Earthquake would do quite a lot of damage. So I do decide to shield at the last possible second, and I'm just going to go for a full farm down. If they bring in something that isn't the Golurk, I'm going to pivot into the Toxapex. Opponent, they're thinking about it. They're going to bring in a Carbink. I pivot into the Bite Toxapex, and they don't check the fast move. And they just bring in the Golurk. I'm going to let it go. Most Golurks are not running Earth Power. This one actually is. So they are able to pick up the knockout. But now I have Tentacruel into Carbink endgame. So that should just be a winning one for me. I am going to get the farm down. Unfortunately, my switch clock is not yet up, which is a little bit rough. I will fire off the Sludge Bomb just to get a little bit of damage. They no shield. And you already know how this story is going to end. It's going to end with a lot of Acid Sprays. Opponent is going to be spamming out Power Gems. Power Gem is the far better move than Rock Slide, but Power Gem's pacing is not great. Rock Throw, of course, doesn't generate a lot of energy, so it is, I believe, straight 10 to Power Gem. I build it to the Scald, I bait with the Acid Spray, and now things are looking pretty good. Power Gem, not going to do a ton of damage. I can survive that. I know I have the Brutal Swing banked for sure. I'm close to the Sludge Bomb, but I don't want to risk it. So I build up to the Scald, bait again, and now that their defense is -4, I can go for the combo play with the Golurk. This is a resisted move, but I've debuffed their defense by 4 stages, so it will be able to knock out the Carbink, and we're able to take the win. Dream lead in the next match, Golurk into the Drifblim. Opponent save switches into a Azumarill, and Trainer, you can never, ever save switch at a Azumarill in this cup. That is just asking to get hit with either a Toxapex or in this case a Tentacruel. And this is why you just can't save switch a Azumarill ever. Because if it's Toxapex, they can just farm you all the way down after a brine. And if it's Tentacruel in this case, I can just Acid Spray, farm all the way down. I'm going to leave with so much energy that even though they're probably running Double Fairy, I can completely neutralize their Drifblim before they even get a chance to farm me down. Look at this advantage that Tentacruel has now gained. That matchup is just so polarizing. Guess what? I get another Scald. I can even throw it on good timing. They have to shield this or this just knocks out. And that is just going to knock out. In the back is Wigglytuff. Tentacruel just 1v2'd. Bite Toxapex does still beat Azumarill and Wigglytuff, so the opponent is going to resign the match. We move to the next match. Guzzlord into the Golurk. Catching the Golurk on the lead, pretty solid for me. I am going to be firing off the Brutal Swing. I didn't see a sneak there by the opponent, which is really, really odd, as they should be sneaking a fast move through there. They have farmed up a ton of energy. They're at back-to-back Shadow Punches. I'm going to call the Shadow Punch, and then I'm going to switch and catch onto the Toxapex. Considering they're leading a Ghost type, they're probably not weak to Bite in the back. I'm able to get that farm down. They're going to bring out a Shadow Drapion. So this is a little bit unfortunate. This matchup would be better if I was running Poison Jab. So as you can see, there are definitely some situations where having Bite is going to be more of a hindrance. Like in this instance, Bite's energy generation is very slow, so I'm not going to get to moves very fast. I do decide to commit the shield, and it's a Azumarill in the back, and I just get to bank all this energy and then bring in Tentacruel. And at this point, the opponent can very safely concede. There's just no way they're going to be able to win this game. They're playing it out, though, which to me is wild, because Tentacruel onto Azumarill, there's just no hope. There is not a way they're going to win this game. I still don't get KO'd by the next move. I'm just going to farm them all the way down, exit with way too much energy, and if they stay, we can have a little bit of fun in this match. So they're wanting to play it out, so I'm going to give them a show. I have Double Scald. I'm going for the Acid Spray here. We're going for the Acid Spray, and they shield the Acid Spray. I'm going for another Acid Spray. I don't care that they don't have any more shields. Let's see if we can KO with the combo play Brutal Swing. We got to do this once before to a Carbink. Now we get to KO a Drapion. That's the most damage a Brutal Swing has ever done to a Drapion, and we're able to take the win. We now lead Guzzlord into Azumarill. I'm going to farm up to the Sludge Bomb and then look to try and catch onto the Toxapex. I don't get the catch, but I bait out Golurk, and this is perfect. This is exactly why we have Bite on our Toxapex. And now, since they have Azumarill with a ton of energy, I'm going to sell out for switch advantage, because Azumarill's energy is completely nullified by Tentacruel. So even if I'm down a shield, my opponent's energy is useless, and I have a ton of energy on my Guzzlord, which is almost guaranteed to be more useful going up against something that isn't Azumarill. I'm expecting my opponent is going to bring back in the Azumarill, understanding that my fast move now is going to be Bite, but people aren't really checking for the fast move. That's one thing that I do want to note is now that the video has been released, well, at the time of people watching this, of course, the fact that Toxapex has Bite will be more known, so people might be more prepared for it, so the strategy might not work quite as well, but since it's a very unique strategy, and one of my Discord members was able to climb several hundred elo to legend with it, I did still want to highlight it. My opponent is going to be firing off the Icy Wind, but again, we just played for switch. We baited out the Ghost type, we flipped swap, and now there's just nothing my opponent can do. I'm going to be firing off the Brutal Swing. The Brutal Swing doesn't do anything here, like it's just absolutely nothing, but I can bring in the Tentacruel, and the opponent is going to realize there's just no way to win, so they will concede the match. Speaking of terrible leads, Guzzlord into Wigglytuff. I can't stay in for this one. I bring in Toxapex, and I'm not met with a Golurk. Every Wigglytuff I've faced has had a Golurk in the back, but this one has a low kicks, and this is not great for me. Here what I should do is overfarm a lot to try and force them to throw, but throwing the brine reveals my pacing, and that's really bad, because my opponent now realizes my pacing is that slow and they can farm me all the way down. The far better way to play that mid game would have been to just overfarm with the Pex, threaten a potential bigger move, and force their energy, because now they leave with 2 boosted moves. I'm forced to lose my entire Guzzlord's HP, shield on the Tentacruel, and in the back is going to be Galarian Moltres. I'm going to farm up to a potential Blizzard. I do lose the CMP tie, but I am going to shield, as at this point they're just going to go straight Ancient Power, but that mid game was brutally misplayed. I should have just kept farming with the Toxapex and tried to force them, or at least scare them into throwing their energy. I'm going to be able to knock out the Moltres, but my biggest issue is I've taken too much damage on this Tentacruel. If the Tentacruel was healthier, maybe I had a shot, but the Poison Jabs plus the Scald are not enough to knock out here. So a game that honestly to me felt winnable, but I misplayed the mid game and it did end up costing me pretty significantly. We move to the next match. Oh, what an unbelievably good lead, leading into Decidueye with Guzzlord. Opponent save switches Mandibuzz. And I don't have an amazing response in back, so I'm more than happy just to stay in here with the Guzzlord. I have Bite on my Toxapex, so that's going to be able to handle a Decidueye perfectly fine. Decidueye does run Astonish, so Astonish will still add up quite a bit, and I can win this because they're on Snarl, just going straight Sludge Bomb. So the Sludge Bomb's able to land, they're going to spam out Aerial Ace after Aerial Ace, and they're going for another move. My plan here is I'm hoping to Dragon Tail them into Brutal Swing range. I'd love to save some energy. So I'm going to overfarm and play to the CMP tie here with the Brutal Swing, hoping that it is barely going to be enough to knock out, and it is. Down goes Mandibuzz, in comes Fortress, and I'm so happy that I stored all this residual energy because I don't just get one Brutal Swing, I get a second Brutal Swing as well. That is massive. This will get them low or pressure a shield. They end up shielding, and now I Bite. Typically, Poison Jab would be doing nothing here, but I have Fast Move Pressure. I am going to shield as they're going to full send the Earthquake. That is a very important shield for me. They're farming up a lot of energy. And here, I think I just want to double shield. I want to try and save some energy. They go for the Rock Tomb here, just fishing for a debuff. But look at this. I'm going to get the full Bite farm down, exiting with so much energy. In comes Decidueye, and I'm going to unleash the Sludge Wave. It's debuffed, but it gets the shield. In comes the Tentacruel. Tentacruel, even though I do have Acid Spray, Scald just does way more damage, so Scald is going to be the move to go for. Frenzy Plant is going to land devastating damage to the Tentacruel, but Tentacruel is able to hang on. Returning Fire with the Scald. Scald is going to connect, getting them low. They leave too low, and the Bite damage will secure the knockout. And things got a little scary mid-game, but we're able to take the win. Guzzlord versus Guzzlord in the next match. I do lag a bit at the start there, but I'm able to catch back up. Typically, you can shield once and farm all the way down unless they have an extremely good Guzzlord. And in this instance, they have an amazing Guzzlord. They're able to hang on 1 HP, and I'm forced to switch out. Normally, you don't have to catch out of that. In comes the Golurk. Unfortunately, I do lag at the start once the Golurk enters the field of play. So we've had a very laggy start to these games, unfortunately. Golurk does have quite a bit of energy. I bring in the Guzzlord, and I'm just understanding that I lose the CMP tie, so I'm just going to go for the extra fast move and get the farm down. I do exit with energy. They bring in the Guzzlord. I snipe it in the back. They have Toxapex, and this is just going to be a loss. This entire game, unfortunately, was flipped by them having a very high rank Guzzlord because I was forced to catch out of that lead matchup, whereas typically, as long as you don't throw your move, 9 Dragon Tails KOs an opposing Guzzlord. So I am going to fire off the spray. They no shield. I'm going to go for another spray. Surely they have to shield this one, and they just keep no shielding. I'm going to farm up, try for a CMP sack swap, but I saw the fast move go through. I didn't get it, which means this game will, unfortunately for me, be a loss. At this point, just out of pure pettiness, I want them to shield an Acid Spray, so I will go for the Acid Spray. But yeah, they have me beat. My only win con was a CMP sack swap, and unfortunately, I stored all the energy on the Guzzlord, but I wasn't able to use that second move. We got a terrible lead in the next match. Guzzlord into Ninetales, save switch into the Bite Toxapex, and they stay. A rare opponent who actually checks the fast move. They are going to be firing off a Psyshock that does significant damage, and in comes Clodsire. Clodsire, a very good Pokemon to bait out. So honestly, even though I'm not seeing a Golurk here, baiting out the ground type, still an absolute win in my book. I get to land that Brine. Brine, of course, not going to do a ton of damage. They're going to full send the Earthquake. Earthquake is going to land, and they will get the farm down. In comes the Guzzlord. Guzzlord, they have a lot of residual energy, which is tough. They're going to be firing off the Stone Edge here, and they're hoping to try and go for a Stone Edge into an Earthquake combo to potentially pick up the knockout, and they're very close to the Earthquake. Brutal Swing is going to get them low, and they survive the Dragon Tail on 1 HP. They get the Earthquake, it knocks out, and I need Tentacruel to sweep. Tentacruel gets the farm down in the back. I saw the typing, I thought it was Toxapex, but no, it's going to be Quillfish. Quillfish going to start spamming out these Aqua Tails, and I have enough for the Scald, but I'm going for the Acid Spray. If they shield an Acid Spray, I should be in an okay spot here. I go for the Acid Spray, they call the bait, and now I only have 1 win con in this game. My win con is to full send a Scald. I've already Acid Sprayed once. They have high incentive to try and call a bait again, thinking I'm going to double Acid Spray, and it works! The Scald lands, and just like that, any win con evaporates. In comes the Ninetales, and the opponent will resign the match. Hopping to the final match, leading Guzzlord into Ariados. Bad lead, I'm going to throw 4. Again, wait the turn and get the catch onto Toxapex. And hopefully we're going to be baiting out a ghost type here. We catch the lunge, opponent brings in, oh, that is not a ghost type, that's a Galarian Moltres. And that is really not great for me. Moltres is going to be firing off its energy here. Moltres goes for the Ancient Power. I will be farming up, trying to make it to the Sludge Wave, but the issue is this Moltres is going to exit with so much energy after they farm down. Moltres is going to no shield, Switch Timer will be up. I get the snipe with the Brutal Swing. I don't have Dragon Claw, but my opponent doesn't know that, so they're forced to shield. They're going to switch into the Ariados. Ariados going to fire off a Lunge. Lunge will be able to do quite a lot of damage, but it's not going to KO, so I can withstand that, go for the Brutal Swing, and I'm just trusting in Tentacruel at this moment here. I brought in my Poison type. I didn't see a Mud Slapper, but there's a Mud Slapper. It's Crocodile. I can't win that, so I will resign the match. All in all, I did have very nice results with the team. As I mentioned, my first set was a 5-0. And doing a little bit of mental math, I believe I went 11-5 overall with the team, including a couple games on stream. So overall, I feel like the team worked out very well. As I did mention in the middle of the shoutcast, now that the strategy has been publicized, I do think it's possible that it might not work quite as well, just because people are going to be checking the fast move on a Toxapex rather than just switching in their Golurk to get absolutely slaughtered. So overall, it is a little bit tough, and I wrestled with the idea of making a video on it or not, but it was a cool enough strategy, and the fact that GDSG was able to climb several hundred points to Legend, I felt like was worth highlighting. So with his blessing, here we are showcasing that strategy that worked so well for him. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.